President Trump pivoting to 2020 by setting his sights on potential Democratic contenders. Trump mocking the Green New Deal that many of them support, but says he hopes that they make the Green New Deal part of the campaign.
Now, I'm only afraid that we're going to be too hard on the Green New Deal, and they're not going to do it because I want them to do it. We don't want to have them knock it out before we get to run against it. The Green New Deal, done by a young bartender, 29 years old. The Green New Deal. You know, but it's crazy. You know, the first time I heard it, I said, that's the craziest thing. You have senators that are professionals, that you guys know, that have been there for a long time, white hair, everything perfect, and they're standing behind her and they're shaking, they're petrified of her. Please don't kill it, because we want to be able to run against it. If they beat me with the Green New Deal, I deserve to lose.
All right, that's a good line.
That's a great line. You know, the Green New Deal is exactly the thing a child does in class in an arts and crafts, project. It's, a collage of rainbows and glitter, and it's something that deserves to be on the front of a refrigerator, held by a magnet with love by your mom. But that's not enough. That's not enough of a criticism. I think that Trump should also match their fantasy with reality and go, look, I credit them for their lofty ambitions. But as a Republican, businessman, I can solve this problem with clean, safe nuclear power. And if you don't believe me, you will believe Bill Gates, not Ben, his brother, but Bill Gates, who is pushing, nuclear power. So it's not some crazy right-winger. It's, the richest liberal on the planet. I don't know if mentioning AOC is a wise decision, because this, she's a problem for Dems the way Trump was a problem for Republicans. She just gets the heat.
It's like it fuels her.
Yeah, it fuels her.
The more that you make fun of her, Jesse, the more it builds her up.
But there's strategy behind that, because what he's doing is creating tension in the Democratic ranks by bruising the egos of all the professional politicians by saying you're getting led around by this young, idiotic bartender from the Bronx, and she doesn't know what she's talking about. And so that puts him in a tough position. But he's also sarcastically using reverse psychology. He's like, oh, wow, I can't wait to run against this Green New Deal. I don't want to hit it too hard because I don't want to kill the baby in the crib, but I'm not going to say anything, but I'm licking my chops. And that also humiliates the Democrats, because deep down, even the Democrats know it's a political loser. And people don't give President Trump credit for his policy chops, for his political chops, because governing has proven a little bit more difficult, but on a campaign trail, he took out a Bush, took out a Clinton, was outspent, and broke down the blue wall.
Kennedy, do you think that the Green New Deal probably plays really well in districts where you have big Democratic majorities, but not so much in the swing districts where Democrats just won to take back the House majority?
Yes, I think it plays very well in the bubbles where there is a big cosmopolitan bias. In fact, and this is the first time that Republicans have actually been very passionate and very competent about capitalism. And the Green New Deal allowed them to reframe the discussion on capitalism in a very beneficial way. For months and months, as we've slowly seen the Democrat Party turn more and more progressive, I've been wondering, where are the Republicans? Where are the champions of, economic liberalism and a solid economy and small business and entrepreneurship? Why aren't they fighting for those values? And they finally were able to do that with the Green New Deal, and I think that's why the president doesn't want to let it go. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, in response to the president, said, the last guy who underestimated me lost. And she's right about that.
Well, that was because
I don't think
he didn't show up to debate.
I think the problem for Democrats is they are overestimating her.
Yeah.
And that's going to be
So tomorrow night, Brett Baier and Martha McCallum are going to do this town hall with Howard Schultz, who's threatening a third-party run against Democrats. Well, a third-party run, but Democrats are worried about that. And then Bernie Sanders is going to also do one, I think, April 15th in Detroit. How do you think that they might deal with the Green New Deal on a stage like that?
Well, I don't think there's any question. Almost all of them have endorsed the Green New Deal. And the reason is it's a winner. I love it that you guys laugh. I mean, to me, what's laughable? What's laughable is Trump last night saying, you know what? Oh, these wind turbines, the noise from them cause cancer. Really, Mr. President? Wow. Wind turbines cause cancer. This is new. This
sounds like a liberal.
No, I mean, it's just wild, wacky stuff that he says. And then, of course, how condescending is the way I took it. Oh, this bartender wait a minute. This young woman is extraordinary, brilliant, just won her campaign, is making inroads. She has no real power at the moment as a junior member. She's making inroads, and you want to belittle her. Oh, I see where you're coming from. I mean, it doesn't speak well of you, but it does say a lot about her. But I will say, again, the Green New Deal, if you look at the absence of discussion about climate change and global warming from Republicans, it does. It has elements of the economy.
UBI, free college, Medicare for all. That's within the Green New Deal. That's not a Green New Deal. That's Green New dog crap.
No, this is part of an effort to change our economic structure, not only to address
because it's terrible
and have it swirl down
but
the
toilet. To deal with the fact that we are so
$93 trillion
over-reliant
if that's a winner? That's
oil.
A loser. You know what happens when the economy suffers? People die.
It's not going to suffer. In fact, what we see right now, the big pushes in terms of jobs and
we spend $700 billion a year on the military. We're going to spend $93 billion over 10 years. $9 billion a year on this fly. We got to run. That's a winner?
You keep shouting, but in between your shouting, allow me to say that what they're talking about is looking at this issue while Republicans and Trump refuse to talk about it.
But to Kennedy's point, expanding this, the Green New Deal is about upending the most efficient, phenomenal economic system in the history of the world. That somehow this is suffering.
We don't even need to argue. Don't even argue. You said it's a winner. Let him run on it.
You tell that to people right now who can't afford $400.
I can tell them.
Okay.
I can tell them.
The 5 wants to be very clear. We always support our bartenders. like
especially
big time.
me.
Excellent. Okay.
Any remarks on the latest complaint filed against you?
Oh, I mean, it's conservative interest groups just filing bogus stuff.
I don't know about that. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez dismissing the latest campaign finance allegations lodged against her. Let's bring in townhall.com political editor Guy Benson. Guy is also a Fox News contributor and host of Benson and Harf. So just to break it down, this is a brand new charge, and allegedly it's another way that it's being accused that she was able to funnel more money than is allowed into her campaign from donors in a way that was not transparent. This was allegedly through a company that was set up with quote-unquote venture money to support political candidates with below-market prices for campaign support, whether that's advice or whatever it is. Company's now defunct, according to the charges, so it spent all its money on her campaign in the past. She has been charged with FERC, and they're investigating into whether she put too much money in a PAC and then shifted it over to an LLC that was at her disposal for her campaign, which would make it less transparent. Those are the charges. They are not proven yet. I lay that out there. Guy, what's your reaction?
Yeah, well, I think there's a few things here, Melissa. This is alleged, as you say. The supposed mastermind was her now chief of staff, then I believe her campaign manager, with this scheme that he supposedly set up that would allow people to donate into this big bucket of money over here through exactly what you just described, sort of this convoluted method of then funneling money back to campaigns. The FEC will decide whether or not it's in fact bogus. That's the word that she used. She called this a bogus attack from conservatives. That's not for her to decide. That's not for us to decide. That's up to the Federal Elections Commission. I will say, broadly speaking, because it seems like there's at least some significant evidence here of shadiness, if not illegality. My understanding is AOC's sort of brand as she ran for Congress the first time in that Democratic primary was to take more money out of politics and to make politics more transparent. And if these charges hold up in any tangible way, it would strike me as exactly the opposite of those values that she's espoused publicly. So if that's the case, she'll have to answer for it. But my suspicion is she'll deflect and play victim as she always does. There's no criticism of her in her mind that is ever legitimate. It's always some sort of nefarious scheme from the right.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting because she's making a lot of enemies in the Democrat Party as she stands up there very sanctimonious. So it will be interesting to see if, you know, it's not just the right that would be feasting off this and you know, bringing her to task for it. It's people within her own party. Let me turn you really quickly because just within the last hour or so, we finally got a response on camera from Joe Biden to this whole, this cloud that has come over him about his actions with women in the past and him being inappropriate and making women uncomfortable. And he had at first put out just a written statement, that was very neutral. He never meant to make anyone feel uncomfortable. And if he did, he's willing to listen type thing. Now he's gone on the record. He kind of explains for many minutes on Twitter. What did you make of his comment?
Well, there's no question that it's better than this written statement, right, where it's very detached, sort of antiseptic, where you don't even know if he wrote it or someone working for him did. For him to be in front of a camera explaining himself and not really apologizing, I will point out, but kind of saying, I get it, I'm going to do better in the future, that's certainly an improvement. I think it might have been even better and more effective if he had said, to the women that I made feel unintentionally, I made feel uncomfortable in any way, I apologize. That was never my aim, never my intent. And he said, I do a lot of comforting of people, and I do that in a hands-on sort of way. Not all of these circumstances that we've seen him, even on video, involved consoling. But again, I think this is an improvement. This is a step up from where he was. It also strikes me as more likely now that this is a man who's getting ready to run.
Yeah.